Good evening, dear students. Welcome to the TSAT class. Hope you all are watching the TSAT classes daily. Are you? Yes. So, before I start a topic, I want to show you one thing. Okay, what is this, my dear students? What is this? You may be thinking that why the madam is asking such a silly question. Why? Because everyone knows this one. What is this? This is a simple plant. Right, it is a simple plant. Now, if we want to produce a plant, how can we produce a plant? What are the methods do we have? Yes, right. By sowing the seeds, we will produce the plant. It is a normal one, traditional method. Or else, if the plant is not able to produce the seeds, do we have any other alternate method? Think of the answer. Some of the plants, for example, rose plant, how it is produced? If we cut the stem of the rose and bury in the soil, then it will develop into a plant, isn't it? So, some of the plants, if you remember the vegetative propagation, some of the plants, they will produce the complete plants either from the root or from the stem or from the leaf, that we call as a vegetative propagation. So, here imagine now I have a plant which is neither producing the seeds and which is neither performing the vegetative propagation also. In such cases, do we expect a plant from the mother plant? Is it possible to get a new plant without the seeds? Come on, guess the answers. Yes, there is a solution, and that answer is plant tissue culture. Okay, now our topic for today is plant tissue culture. It is a technique by which we can produce the plants by using any part of the plant, not only the root, not only the stem. For example, I may use the bud also. I may use the bud also. I may use the leaf also. I may use the stem also. And even a flower can also be used. For example, the anthers. Are you seeing? These are the anthers. And the pollen grains, they are also used for producing a plant. Next, the female reproductive part, ovary, can also be used for producing the plant. That we call as a plant tissue culture. Okay, look at the slide. See, that is the definition for the plant tissue culture. What it has written, it is an in vitro culture of plants on nutrient medium under aseptic conditions. That is the general textbook definition. Okay, we will simplify that to our real life. What they are saying, here we are growing the plants, very good, but where we are growing the plants not naturally, but where? Under the laboratory conditions. Okay, such laboratory conditions we call as in vitro conditions. Technically it is called as in vitro condition. Then one more condition, normally we use the soil for the plant growth, but here we don't use the soil. Instead of the soil, what we are using? The nutrient medium is using. Okay, then after, here we have to take care that no microorganisms should present on the plant. That is under aseptic conditions. So, once again have a look at the definition. Now, you will clearly understand about the definition. Please have a look at the slide. It is an in vitro culture of plants on nutrient medium under aseptic conditions. Have you understood the definition? Have you understood the main theme behind this plant tissue culture? So, here we can use any part of the plant. We can use the root, stem, anything. So, first, here what are the steps we follow in the plant tissue culture? First, what we have to do? We have to prepare an explant. So, what is an explant? Now, try to divide the word explant. Generally, we will get an idea that ex-minister means a person who was minister earlier, but now he is not the minister. Okay. Similarly, explant means it was a part of a plant earlier, but now not it as a part of a plant. Now see, here in plant tissue culture, what I said, we can use any part of the plant, not only the seeds, not only the root or stem, we can use any part. For example, I may use this leaf also. I may use this flower also, the anther also. So all these parts which are used in plant tissue culture is called as an explant. Hope you are understanding. So here if I use a plant root as an explant, that culture is called as a root culture. Okay. I may use the stem also, which we call as a stem culture or also called as meristem culture. Sometimes we may also use the leaf also, that we call as leaf culture. We may use the anther. Anther is a male reproductive part of a flower. Okay, isn't it? So that anther can also be used. Even pollen grains are also be used for the production of the plants. That we call as a anther culture. Next one is the ovary. Ovary is the female reproductive part. We can even use the female one also. That culture we call as a ovary culture. And even sometimes we don't use any tissues or the organs. Here we will use directly a simple cell. A single cell also can be used. That culture is called as a single cell culture. Okay. Then after we can even use the protoplasm also. What is a protoplasm? When a cell is devoid of the cell wall, we call that one as a when we remove the cell wall, the leftover part, what is called as a protoplasm. Even the protoplasm can also be used to develop the plant. So such culture is called as a protoplast culture. Okay, are you understanding? Now here we have to remember the work of some of the scientists. So we have to talk about this scientist called Haberland. So remember the person name Haberland. The Haberland is the person who did the experiments for the very first time by using a single cell to develop a complete plant. So he is the first person to do all these plant tissue culture experiments. So for his work he was given as a title called as father of plant tissue culture. So who is called as a father of plant tissue culture? Haberland is called as a father of plant tissue culture. Why he is called so? Why? Because he developed this technique from using a single cell. Okay, right. Here we have to remember our Indian scientists also. Those are Maheshwari and Guha. Maheshwari, if you recollect, he is the person from the embryology, isn't it? He is also called as father of embryology. Then what he did in the plant tissue culture, this Maheshwari person, he has developed a plant from using the anthers. So he developed the anther culture. We have to remember these two scientists' name. Okay, right. So what we understood from the plant tissue culture, here we can use any one of these part as an explant in order to produce a complete plant. That is called as an explant. Okay, this is the first step in the plant tissue culture. Now our explant we have chosen as a leaf. Imagine we have taken a leaf. What we have to do next? Next, have a look at this slide. So please, when we get the explant here, we have to surface sterilize the explant by washing in liquid detergent. Okay. Then wash with distilled water. Then wash with chlorine water. Then wash with distilled water once again to remove the chemicals like chlorine and sodium hypochlorite solutions. Why we have to do all these things? Okay, look at me. Now what I did, I have taken a small leaf. Okay, this leaf I want to develop into a complete plant. Now this leaf contains the dust particles. So we have to avoid the dust particles. No dust should present. So what we have to do? First we have to clean it. We call that one as a surface sterilization. The surface is cleaned here. Simple, by using simple detergents which we use at our home. Okay. Then after, Dust may be removed, but microorganisms will present which are not seen to our naked eyes. Okay. Such microorganisms are cleaned by using some solutions like chlorine, which is called as a disinfectant, or also sodium hypochlorite can also be used, which will clean the leaf. It will make the leaf devoid of microorganisms. Now finally what we have to do? Finally we have to wash it with distilled water once again. Why? To remove all the chemicals. Isn't it? Right. Next what we have to do? Now our explant is ready. We have taken a leaf, we have cleaned it, we have surface sterilized it. Now our explant is ready. But for doing this activity, we need some of the instruments. I want to show you just the instruments. Have a look at this one. So these are the instruments useful for the explant. To get the explant from the main plant, so this is the scalpel which we use to cut, and this is the needle, and this is the forceps, and this is the spatula. Generally we used to take the chemicals. Okay. All these are called as the instruments which are useful for taking out an explant. So here we have to do one thing. As we are cleaning our explant, we have to clean those instruments also. For that reason, what we have to do is, we have to dip those instruments in ethyl alcohol first. Then after, we have to keep it under the flame. Then we can use them. Okay. Thus, they will be disinfected. Next, what is the next step? Preparation of nutrient media. Preparation of nutrient media. In the first step we have seen, we have collected the explant. Now what we have to do? We have to prepare a nutrient medium. Why? Because in the definition we have told that instead of soil we are using the nutrient medium. So here we have to prepare a nutrient medium. Okay, right. So here you may get some doubt. Why we have to use a nutrient medium? Why not a soil be used, madam? Okay, good doubt. I'll give you an explanation. Simple thing. When we are using a soil, the plant absorbs all the nutrients from the soil, but it will take a lot of time. Okay. But here the nutrient medium provides all the required elements which are needed by the plant within short time. Okay. So for this I can give you a simple example. Right. Imagine a situation where a person is very weak, he is suffering from fever. He is not taking the food materials also for a week days. Why? Because of digestion problem. Okay. In that condition, if that person is taken to the hospital, doctor sees the patient, then what he gives the advice? He will tell the hospital members, please give that person an IV fluid. Isn't it? Have you experienced this one in your life? So when a person is very weak, when he has taken to the hospital, the suggestion we will get is to have a IV fluid. What is the function of the IV fluid? Here, when the person is very weak, okay, unable to digest the food also, at that condition that person needs the energy instantly. Isn't it? So here that person is unable to digest the food, so he can't do all the activities. So IV fluid is directly entering the bloodstream and giving the required energy for that person. Similarly, the same work, the IV fluid work is done by our nutrient medium. What the nutrient medium is doing here? The nutrient medium is rich of nutrients. It is directly giving the required materials for our explant. Why? As we have extracted this explant from the mother plant, now it is very weak and now it is unable to perform photosynthesis also. So how it will get the food materials? There is no chance. So for here what we will do, we will place this explant onto the nutrient medium. This nutrient medium directly gives the energy, instantly gives the energy. That is the function of the nutrient medium. Are you understanding? Okay. Next, what does a nutrient medium generally contains? Have a look at the slide. A nutrient medium, it contains inorganic elements, which further includes macro elements and micro elements. I hope you know the difference for macro elements and micro elements. The micro elements are the elements which a plant requires more in number for their growth. Micro elements are the elements which a plant requires less for their growth. So there are some examples also. Micro elements examples are nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, calcium. Macro elements examples are boron, manganese, zinc, aluminium and copper. Next we have to add organic elements. Organic elements include carbon source like sugars and carbohydrates. Vitamins include thiamine and riboflavin. Amino acids include glycine. And even we can add the growth regulators like auxins and cytokinins. What the auxins will do? Auxins will favor the root formation and cytokinins will favor the shoot formation. And finally, we can add the agar also. So all these things are present inside a nutrient medium. Inorganic elements, organic elements, growth regulators and agar. So generally where we will pour all this nutrient medium? See. Now this is the conical flask, you know very well, okay. This is a conical flask, okay. We have poured the nutrient medium inside it. So conical flask can be used as a culture vessel. This is the nutrient medium on which we can grow a plant, okay, right. Next, even this can also be used. This is the test tube. A test tube can also be used for the growth of plants. And not only these things, we can also use the petri dishes also for the plant growth. So they are used as the culture vessels which contain the nutrient medium. And here this is the agar, where this is the agar which is present inside the nutrient medium, and this agar makes the nutrient medium semi-solid. It is like a gelling agent. It makes the explant to fix in the nutrient medium, okay. Right. Now what till now what we have seen? We have collected the explant. Our first step is done, collected the explant. In the next step what we have done? We have prepared a nutrient medium, and in the next step what we have to do is sterilization process. The third one is called sterilization. Sterilization. Most of us, maybe we don't know about the definition of sterilization, but we know the process of sterilization. I'll give you simple examples. Look, in older days, when you are very young, nowadays, first I'll tell the situation. Nowadays, when we have to take an injection, the syringes or the needles, whatever we use nowadays, they are use and throw type. We'll use once and we'll throw them. We don't use it again and again, okay. But in earlier days, it was not the condition. They have to use again and again, again and again. How it was possible? For that, what they did at those time, they collected the syringes, needles, and they used it to boil in the hot water, and after drying they will once again use for other patients. So here what they are doing? They are sterilizing. There the process is called as sterilization. Here they are killing the microorganisms. Simply speaking, sterilization is killing of microorganisms. Or else you can have this situation in your houses. When you have seen very young babies, very newborn babies at your houses, generally they don't use the diapers, isn't it? We use a cloth for them. So our mother, grandmother, what they will do? After washing the cloths, they will keep the cloths in the hot water. For what purpose they are keeping them in hot water? So that they should be devoid of microorganisms. So knowingly or unknowingly they are doing the sterilization. Yes, are you understanding? Right. Or else we can apply a situation like nowadays we are wearing the mask against the COVID-19, okay. The mask which we use, we are using for 1 day, 2 days, but we are not throwing. What we are doing? Once again we are cleaning or keeping them in hot water, and once again we can reuse them. So here also what is happening? Sterilization is done. So sterilization is done everywhere, but we may or may not know the exact word that we are doing the sterilization. Hope you are understanding. So here we are doing the sterilization. What is sterilization? You understood very well. Now, do we need a sterilization in plant tissue culture? What is the need of plant tissue culture sterilization? Yes, we need it compulsory. Why? Because when we are preparing the nutrient medium, inside the conical flask, I have poured the nutrient medium. Now, this nutrient medium is very much rich in nutrients, sugars, carbohydrates, amino acids, everything is present here. So, when I want to put a leaf onto the nutrient medium, that is the explant onto the nutrient medium, when I open and place onto the nutrient medium, so when a plant is growing here, besides this plant, as it is full of nutrients, the microorganisms which are present around us, they may enter and they may grow. Are you listening? Here what's the problem? We want to grow the plant, but what is growing here? Microorganisms are growing, which we don't want, isn't it? So what we have to do? Better say no to the microorganisms. So here what we have to do? All the culture vessels and all the explants throughout the plant tissue culture experiment, we have to do the sterilization process. That is the importance of sterilization in plant tissue culture. Now, where do we do all this sterilization equipment? Have a look at the slide. This is the picture of an autoclave. Autoclave is a machine which is used for the sterilization process. Just have a look how it is looking. It's almost similar to our pressure cooker which we use in our houses. Okay. Now, this autoclave, it works at 121 degrees temperature and 15 lbs pressure, and for 15 minutes we have to sterilize all the culture vessels and also the nutrient medium in order to avoid microorganisms. This is one of the equipment which is commonly used, and we have one more equipment. Now look at the image. It is a hot air oven. This hot air oven can also be used for sterilization process. These two are helpful in killing the microorganisms, and I think most of the, not only I, most of our colleges have these two at our laboratories, isn't it? Right. So both autoclave and hot air oven machines are used to sterilize the explant as well as the nutrient medium. Okay, we have finished the third one also. Just we have prepared the explant first. What we have prepared? Next we have prepared the nutrient medium. We have sterilized both of them to avoid the microorganisms. In the next step, what we have to do? We have to do one more step, that is inoculation. Inoculation. Inoculation is a technical term. See here. What I said, now our nutrient medium is ready. Okay, this is now our nutrient medium is ready. Now our explant is also ready. Simple thing what we have to do is, we have to place this explant onto the nutrient medium. Placing of explant on the nutrient medium is called as inoculation. Simple, very much simple. Just use any forceps for this purpose and just hold the explant and slowly put it on the nutrient medium, and after placing the explant on the nutrient medium, we have to close this one with a non-absorbent cotton swab. Airtightly we have to close this one so that no other microbes will come and contaminate. Next, for this inoculation, we need some special equipment. Just have a look at it. This is the laminar airflow cabinet. Are you seeing? So the laminar airflow cabinet, this is the place where we will do the inoculation. Why? Because that laminar airflow cabinet is with full of UV light, ultraviolet rays are there. So we have to take care while performing the activity. Some precautions should be compulsory taken, as the UV light is harmful to our skin and our eyes also. Compulsory we have to take care while performing the activity. That is the laminar airflow cabinet where we will do the inoculation. Okay. Now the next step in plant tissue culture is incubation. So the next step in plant tissue culture, we call that one as the incubation. After placing the explant onto the nutrient medium, just leave that for some days, for some weeks also. Let's see what will happen. Okay, this particular period of time is called as incubation. We are leaving our explant, okay, wait for 15 days or some days, then that particular period is called as incubation. Now we will see where does this incubation happens. So during the incubation process, see those are the growth rooms where our explant are placed on nutrient medium under sterile conditions, and then after they are left for their next growth. Now see what happens during the incubation. I will explain you here. Wait, incubation means here, now we have taken our plant, this explant, okay, this is our explant, and what is all these things on a nutrient medium. When I am growing an explant on a nutrient medium and we left the setup for some days and some weeks, after few days what happens to our explant? Will it remain same or any changes happens? Certainly some changes happens with the explant. This explant, here it is a leaf, but here coming to the next level, that is the incubation, the leaf won't appear like a leaf. Now it looks like something like this. We call this one as a callus. Now the explant is called as a callus. Callus is nothing but undifferentiated mass of cell. Morphologically, we can't say root, stem, leaf, we can't able to see. Why? Because it is not differentiated. It is just a mass of cell, that is called as a callus. What happened during the incubation? Now explant has changed its nature. It became the callus. Then after further what happens to our callus? This callus once again during the same period, incubation period, now the callus, it will form roots as well as the shoot system with leaves, some flower, everything slowly they will form. Here it was an explant. Then after, during the incubation period, it became the callus, undifferentiated mass of cell. Now this callus finally obtained some structures like root, stem. How it happens? How means in the nutrient medium we have added growth regulators called auxins and cytokinins. The auxins, they will favor the root formation and cytokinins will favor the shoot formation. Okay, because of all these changes, look, at the incubation our explant has been changed into a plantlet. Are you understanding how it has been changing? In the initial stages we have taken just a leaf or anything, any part of a plant as an explant, kept on a nutrient medium under sterile conditions, and then after we have incubated them. Then after few days what we are seeing? We are seeing a plantlet has came, but it is still in the test tube. Okay, this is the next step in the plant tissue culture. And finally what we have to do is we have to do another process, that is acclimatization. Acclimatization is the last step in the plant tissue culture. Okay, right. What is an acclimatization? Till now, whatever the plants grown, they formed the root, stem, leaf, they are still growing in the test tubes or conical flask. Okay, but they have to come to the natural conditions. They are not allowed to grow only in the laboratory conditions. They should be shifted to in vivo conditions. In vivo means natural conditions. So here acclimatization means we have to change the plant from in vitro conditions to in vivo conditions. In vitro laboratory conditions, in vivo natural conditions. During this acclimatization process, whatever the plants we obtained in the laboratories, that is in vitro production, now they are ready with the test tubes. They should be gradually adapted to the natural conditions. So here what we have to do, first if we take directly them to the natural conditions, they may even die also. They may not be adjusted themselves. So for that reason what they have to be done, they should be slowly adjusted. For that reason the plants are separated from the nutrient medium and they should be washed properly so that the nutrient medium eliminates out. Then after that plant is placed on the soil within a pot. So within a pot, now our laboratory plants are shifted to the pots and these pots are covered with polythene bags. Okay, and now they should be placed under the greenhouses. Why? Because now our main intention is our plants, whatever grown through the plant tissue culture, should adjust towards the natural conditions. So here what we will do, we will provide the natural light, we will provide the humidity, temperature. Slowly we will give all the things to the plant. Now this plant will try to adjust towards the natural conditions. Finally, if it survives, maximum 100% it survives, then we will get a complete plant which is shifted to the natural condition, that is the in vivo. Have a look at this one. That is the acclimatization image. See, there the plants are shifted to the natural conditions like soil, but even though they are covered with something like polythene bags and kept under the green gases and kept under the greenhouses, because of which our plants now they are adjusting themselves to the natural conditions. By this method, by following all these steps, one person can successfully produce a complete plant by using any part of the plant. That is the main intention of the plant tissue culture. And here when we are performing this plant tissue culture, we have to keep some things in mind. For example, if we take a diseased explant, there are chances of producing a diseased plant only. So better don't take diseased plants or infected plants. Choose a healthy explant. That healthy explant will lead to a healthy plant. Okay. So while performing this activity, these should be compulsory considered. Then after, during the acclimatization, as we have studied, the test tube plant has shifted to the natural conditions. This is about the plant tissue culture. Now we will just recall all the steps of plant tissue culture through a pictorial diagram. That is the pictorial representation of a plant tissue culture. Pictorial representation of a plant tissue culture. Okay, look at the first diagram. It is a potted plant. Okay, from the potted plant we have taken the leaf as an explant. Here we may use anything, but right now in the experiment we have taken the explant. Now that explant, what we did, we have surface sterilized that explant. We have removed all the microorganisms and dust particles. Then after, we have prepared the nutrient medium. See, a conical flask containing the nutrient medium there. Then after, what we did, we have placed the explant onto the nutrient medium, that we call as a inoculation. So because of this inoculation, gradually explant has been changed to callus. So induction of callus started there. Callus, that callus next converted into a plantlet. It is producing the root and the shoot during the incubation period. Then after, in the last step during the acclimatization, what we did? We have shifted those laboratory plants to the natural conditions. That we also call as a hardening of plants, hardening or acclimatization of plants. See, that is a complete picture of complete plant tissue culture. What is an explant, what is a nutrient medium, how we sterilized, what is inoculation, incubation, acclimatization, everything. Now here one doubt comes. Is this the speciality of the human beings? Is this the greatness of our human beings or our scientists who made possible this plant tissue culture? Or is there any greatness of plant also? Yes, the plants are having a special capacity because of which all this plant tissue culture is made possible. We have to appreciate the plants for this character. That character name is called as totipotency. Totipotency. In plant tissue culture, the complete production of plants is made possible only because of this one character. That character we call as a totipotency. Try to split the word totipotency. It is a total potentiality of a plant to develop into a new one. We have collected a single cell or we have collected a leaf. That cell or a leaf is undergoing meristematic activity and forming new cells and producing a complete plant. That capacity is called as the totipotency. And here we have to come across few more words also. For example, in general, this is a seed. When it is germinating, the embryo, when it develops the radicle. Then after it develops the root system, it develops the plumule. Then after it develops the shoot system. In general, okay. At earlier stage, this embryo, when it is forming the root and shoot, at that condition, it is in highly active stage. What do you mean by that one? It is highly undergoing the division. Because of division, a plant increases in height and a plant increases in width also. Because of this division, we call that one as a meristematic activity. You will study about this one under your anatomy topic. Okay. So, because of the meristematic activity, it is forming a plant. Okay, it is developing the root, it is developing the plant. Isn't it? Right. But when it developed the roots, stem, leaf, everything, now it will lose the capacity of division. Okay, such are, they form the complete tissues. Now they won't divide further. They are the matured ones. Now we call this process as differentiation. Differentiation means from a meristematic activity. A cell is having this activity called meristematic activity, because of which it is undergoing division and forming mature organs. That we call as a differentiation. This generally happens in any plant. But here what we are doing, we are collecting a small leaf from this one. What we did in our plant tissue culture, we call this one as an explant. Okay. Now this explant we kept on a nutrient medium. When this explant is kept on a nutrient medium, this explant has changed into the callus. So now it once again got the capacity of meristematic activity. We call that one as de-differentiation. De-differentiation. And our callus once again producing the plant. That we call as a redifferentiation. From the explant, whatever the meristematic activity is lost, it is regained once again. Why? Because we are providing the nutrient medium. Under these suitable conditions, it will form callus, and callus further forms a plant. What we think is, up to here only cells will divide and form tissues, organs. But there is a chance of further division also. That we call as differentiation and redifferentiation. Because of differentiation, redifferentiation and totipotency, the plant tissue culture is made possible. Okay, I hope you understood the main theme of plant tissue culture. Now we will see the advantages of plant tissue culture. Those are the advantages of a plant tissue culture. Okay, see, those are the advantages of a plant tissue culture. Right, I'll explain in detail one after other. Okay, the first most important use of plant tissue culture is micropropagation. What is the first use? Micropropagation. So in plant tissue culture, micro means very small, propagation means production. In this technique, what we are doing, we are taking a small part of the plant. From that small part, we are producing a big plant. So that technique is called as micropropagation. This is not possible in any other things. It is only in plant tissue culture where we can use a simple single one from which we are producing a complete plant, that we call as a micropropagation. And because of this micropropagation, even we can conserve the endangered plants also. Endangered plants, what are the endangered plants? Which are right now present, but if we don't conserve them, they may be lost, they may become extinct. Such plants are called as endangered plants. So if we get a small part of that endangered plant, we can develop that one into a big plant, so that we can conserve them also. That is one of the use of the micropropagation. And here the second use of the plant tissue culture is, we should not depend upon the seasons. Generally, some of the plants compulsory need sunlight for their flowering. They have to wait up to the summer season, and some plants need the rainy season for their flowering and for their growth. But here in tissue culture, no such conditions are required. Why? Because we are providing everything artificially. There is no need of water, sunlight, whether they will come or not, they will grow on their own. So it should not be no problem for the seasons. Then after, here less labor is required. In general, if we have 1 acre of land, we need some tens, 20, hundreds of persons. Manpower is very much needed for growing the plants. But here in plant tissue culture, one person can do almost hundreds of plants. Simply he can collect the plant, keep it on the nutrient medium, sterilization, inoculation, incubation, then that same plant to the acclimatization. The single person can be capable of performing many plants. So we have less labor requirement also here. And one more is, less space is needed. Now imagine, one plant is growing in such a small test tube. Imagine how many test tubes are present within one room. There are numerous number of test tubes are present. So numerous number of plants are present. We doesn't need that much of land for producing the plants. This is one more advantage. Then after, the most important is protoplastic culture. Just have a look. Protoplastic culture. Through this protoplastic culture, what I told, we can even take the protoplasm, which can be made into a complete plant. So that we call as a protoplastic culture. Here what we will do in protoplastic culture, we will take one cell without the cell wall. This one called as a protoplasm of a species. Okay. So here now we will give some names. I have taken a tomato plant. Okay. Then I have taken another plant, which is a potato protoplasm. I have taken these two plants. One is tomato, one is potato. I have done the hybridization method, the two. And because of this hybridization, when two protoplasms are mixed in presence of polyethylene glycol, we got a new plant by name Potamo. See how beautiful. This Potamo plant contains potato at the bottom and tomato at the top. This is made possible only because of the somatic hybridization. We call this one as somatic hybridization. And such produced ones can be used further also. This is one of the use. Then after, the next use is embryo culture. Here what we have to do, we have to take the embryos. Normally a male one and a female one, both will combine and gives rise to a zygote which further forms an embryo. But here only the female one can develop into a plantlet. Such produced ones are called as somatic embryos. And those somatic embryos, even if they are encapsulated, they can be used as artificial seeds. Just have a look at the slide. Please have a look. We can produce the disease-free plants also because of meristem culture, and we can produce somatic hybrids, we can produce the haploids, we can produce the synthetic seeds, we can produce the secondary metabolites, we can increase the capacity of the plants to produce more secondary metabolites. Then we can even store them. Next slide. See, those are the plants which are produced through the plant tissue culture right now. Those are the banana tree, next teak tree and sandalwood tree. Next C, aloe vera plant, fig plant and coconut. Just have a look at the coconut. Generally coconut is very rough in nature, but here the coconut is very smooth. It is containing smooth endosperm. Macapuno coconut, we call them as Macapuno coconut. It is made possible because of the embryo culture only. So all these are the uses of plant tissue culture. Until and unless we use them in our real life, they are worthless. So these are the plants which have been successfully produced till now, and there are many persons who are utilizing this technique in their day-to-day life, and commercially they are getting benefited also. At final, we will have an assessment. See, there are some questions which were earlier asked in entrance examinations. Soon you are going to write the entrance exams like HCU, CU set. So these are some of the questions which we have gathered for you. The capacity to generate a whole plant from any cell or explant is called, what is that capacity? We call as totipotency, right? Very good. Now in plant tissue culture, root formation is promoted by, root is done by auxins and shoot is done by cytokinins. In the next one, hybrids. What is a hybrid? Hybrid means in protoplasm we are fusing the two protoplasm along with the two nuclei, but in hybrid we will fuse the cytoplasm of both but a nucleus of only one cell. Such ones are called as the hybrids. Okay, these are the some questions which asked earlier, and these are the steps in plant tissue culture, and these are the plants which produced till now in plant tissue culture. You too can, after going home or after going to the college, select any plant and conduct the experiments and produce your own plants. Take it as a project work. Okay. Right. Up to here, plant tissue culture. I hope you understood very well. If at all, if you have any doubts, you may ask me. Thank you.